I'm Mr. Starbuck, the computing teacher at Temples Primary School. This presentation is for the parents and carers of Temples Primary School. I just want to first of all thank you for completing the Internet Safety Survey that I sent out a couple of weeks ago. From the feedback from the survey, I'm going to be looking at the 5 most popular concerns that you had about your child's online safety. So the first question we had was, how do I keep my child safe when using the internet? The first thing I'd say is that we really need to talk openly with your child about their online activity. As soon as your child starts accessing the internet, talk to them about what they're reading, watching, who they're communicating with online. Keep the conversation going as they grow older. Ask your child what sites they visit, what apps they use. You can write a list together, look at them. Talk to your child about what you think is appropriate and remind them that this may be different from other parents and other children. It's vital to teach them about their online reputation too, and about how they must be careful about how they behave and interact with people and represent themselves in this public forum. They must always remember that the internet isn't private. I recommend that you keep their screens and devices where you can see them. Always monitor your child's time online, particularly younger children. Keep the computer in a central spot in the home where you can keep an eye on what your child's doing and viewing online. If they have a mobile device, you can set it to forget the Wi-Fi password so your children cannot go online without you knowing. Maybe that gets reset every week or so. If you're still concerned, you could make some house rules that restrict maybe laptops or gaming in the bedroom. For younger children, you might also consider checking their browser history after your child's been online to see what sites they're visiting. Obviously, this approach gets harder as the children grow older and work out how to clear histories, which is more reason for us to open up these lines of communication about internet usage at the earlier age. Know your parental controls. Innocent searches online can lead to not so innocent results. It's wise to know how to use the parental controls and search restrictions offered by web browsers. For example, the safe search features on Google blocks all sites of explicit sexual material. To turn it on, you just go to your settings and make sure safe search filters is on. It's not 100% accurate, but parental controls can prevent your child from seeing and accessing the most violent or sexual material that may be on the internet. Number 4 is to know your children's online friend. Who are your online friends? As adults, we know that people online aren't always who they say they are, but children and young people can be alarmingly naive when they're chatting with people online. We have a big part of the Temples curriculum is to be talking about this from an early age with the children. So by you talking about that at home as well is really reinforcing the fact that, you know, people can take on different avatars and pretend to be someone different on the internet, and you don't always truly know who somebody is unless they're a friend that you know in real life. Make sure you become friends on the games or the websites that your children are using. You're able to then look at their contacts and keep within their social media circles, ensuring you're monitoring their posts. Your children might resist this, but you could just say that this is one of the conditions for you to allow them access. But the second biggest point that came up that their parents had concerns about was, what do you do if your child finds inappropriate content online? Okay, well, if your child does stumble across something inappropriate online, there's a few things that we could think about here. First of all, did they stumble on the content accidentally, or were they simply curious and went looking for it? If it was an accident, you can reassure them that it's not a bad thing and show understanding. If they were looking for it, then you need to have an honest conversation about why they felt the need to understand and help them. It helps them take a more critical view of their actions. Stay calm and discuss what they've seen and how it made them feel, and then that allows you to assess what emotional support they may need. They might be quite distressed by something they've seen, or very, very upset, and they need you there to be able to process it and talk through it. I would say looking at your settings and controls on these platforms will ensure that children that some of this will be filtered out. For example, you could be using YouTube Kids. This will filter out and give the children only child-friendly content. And also, looking at taking action here, look at the support and information from organisations such as Childline. They have trained counsellors. If it's a very serious incident and something that's happened and you don't feel that you can support them fully, there are experts out there, as well as the staff at school. We can signpost you to various places where we can support the children to help them talk through things that they might be feeling. Here's an interesting slide here talking about how to report inappropriate content. If you or your child comes across any content that's illegal, incites violence or hatred, here's what you can do. And you can see here that there are a lot of different websites and places that you can report to. For example, we encourage the children to report to the CEOP, which is the Child Exploitation Area of the police for online websites and online content. Okay, but yes, do feel that you can go online and you can report things that you see. If you're on a video, you can flag it. So do make sure that you stop it there, and it doesn't end up with the content going to another child and somebody else experiencing that. Okay, one of the things that parents are very interested in was the dangers of social media. And if we actually look at a lot of these social media sites, I know TikTok's very popular, Snapchat's very popular. I would really recommend that they are recommended for children 13 plus. With regards to these websites, the dangers that are included are that, for example, with a messaging system, there's usually an instant message function that allows private conversation between site members. That's one of the main dangers there. Most social networks have an app version available, meaning your child will have access to the social network from their smartphone or tablet. And some of these app versions also use the location of the phone as well. So if the child hasn't set up the device correctly, they could actually be giving away their location as well as being open to messaging. The information that's shared between friends, such as photos, data, comments, can easily be copied and spread. And that's a real danger when we've got these young children who don't know the full consequences of what they're doing at such an early age. They can be putting themselves in a lot of danger by saying things and typing things that maybe they thought were a bit rude or a bit edgy, and actually they're very serious issues. Social media is a large place where a lot of online grooming incidents do happen because of the chat rooms and forums. These are connecting people and they're complete strangers, and the worrying part here is that they are, a lot of them, unmoderated. They're able to create profiles, not say who they are, and have access to children's photos, messaging and commenting. Also, I would say there's a deep concern here that this is the main place where we do find a lot of the dangerous challenges, pranks and other viral content does get shared. I think we really need to consider making sure that our children are mature enough to understand some of these dangers before they're using these social media sites. Cyberbullying is a very, very serious worry for parents, and it's so serious it actually can be classed as a criminal offence. You can see here I've put down what the Crown Prosecution Service would see and take into account with some cyberbullying. So my three main tips would be, if there is a persistent case of somebody upsetting your child, you need to encourage your child to not respond or retaliate. the reaction is exactly what the aggressors are looking for, and it feels that it can give them the power over your child. So don't empower the bully. Retaliation can turn that one mean act into a whole chain reaction of upset. The second thing I recommend that you do is to save the evidence. So that might be that you screenshot it. If they're playing a game, you might be able to video and record some of the conversation, or you could take a photograph of the message on the screen. And then the third thing, like we talked about taking action earlier in the talk, the best thing here that you can do is that you report it to the website. There will be an area where you can report an inappropriate message. This will allow your child to block and mute those accounts so that they can't contact you again. And then I would also recommend that you speak to the police, or if it's involving another child from school, we can help support you with some of that as well. So report to the website, report to the police, or report to the school. And the last thing I want to talk about today is a growing concern for computer gaming addiction. I think we need to really take notice here of how our children are interacting with devices and games, especially this year when we've done a lot more online learning. And it is sometimes when children are being isolated or having to learn from home, sometimes their computer talking to their friends is one of their main outlets to be able to socialise at the moment. But I do think that we need to look at some of those key factors. Would be if they're becoming a bit aggressive, if they're becoming a bit irritable, then maybe less screen time is needed. Now, the problem that this creates is that we don't want to confuse healthy enthusiasm and enjoyment here with saying that your child maybe has a mental health issue. But I do think that we do need to offer helpful language to identify when children stray from enjoyment and avid gaming into less healthy patterns. So for example, if your children won't stop playing when it's dinner time, doesn't mean that they're suffering from a disorder or an addiction, but we do need to be aware that we need to keep an eye on that child that maybe neglects their relationships, or won't exercise, or won't do their schoolwork, or doesn't take care of their personal hygiene because they're too focused on playing computer games or using the computer. One of the key things that I teach the children at school is that we make a balance poster. So on one side they draw all of their favourite computer games, all of their favourite things that they like to do online, their favourite website. I get lots of pictures of Roblox, of Minecraft, of some of the games that they like to play and interact on. And then on the other side I ask them to do some drawings of things that they like to do outside, such as football, or inside, such as board games, art activities, playing with their different toys and figures, or going to the park. And we try and start to say to the children, just like we do with healthy eating, everything within a balance, really. We don't want them to overdo using the computer. We do want to encourage our children to be computer literate, and for some children it's one of their most enjoyable times of the day to use the computer, but they need to start to be aware of when they're crossing into that's the only thing that's going on. That's when our concerns would start to rise. So making a balance poster at home is one of the ways that you can help work with your child to say, I think you're looking a bit tired now, maybe let's take something from the other side of that poster now, and you can talk through it with your child and say, oh, let's try a board game together now. Okay, as always, we are going to be available for support at Templars. On the school website, under parents, there's a whole section for you on how you can look at those restrictions we talked about with setting up filters on your search, or also looking at if you've got a game system such as Xbox Live, Roblox, Minecraft. I've got lots of guides on there and links to websites where you can get further information. Thank you for listening to the presentation today, and if you have any worries or concerns, you know that you can contact your class teacher or the school, and I can always get back to you with some extra information. Thank you. Goodbye.